Hi everyone, and good Wednesday evening to you. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here with weather for Weather Geeks. It's the Valley's geekiest, nerdiest, most in-depth weather video. Even when the weather's kind of quiet like it is right now, we usually find some interesting things to talk about locally, nationally, and even across the world. Let's focus on our region though to start in a little review of where we've been through the first 12 days of December. Hard to believe we're almost halfway through the month. Today was 1 degree warmer than average. Our average slips to 37 on the 12th, and we hit 38 today. So we get an orange box today. There's been 4 warmer than average days so far in December and 8 cooler than average days, and we just had that stretch of 8 in a row that ended today. So while we were running a surplus in the temperature departure compared to average earlier on this month, now we're running 1.3 degrees below average for December. If you remember our December forecast from the winter forecast earlier on this season, we called for about average, give or take a little bit for the month, and I still think that'll be okay. We're going to run into some milder weather certainly for the next 10 days, but then some cooler weather right around Christmas. I'll talk more about that in just a second. Now, when we look at 2018 as a whole, the trend this month has continued what started in November. Of course, November was a very chilly month compared to average. We had 6 months in a row of very toasty temperatures compared to average, but it's certainly been a different story here since the beginning of November. And really the pattern change happened in mid-October. October started out pretty warm, but then since mid-October, it's been fairly consistently colder than average. All right, we had some sunny intervals during the afternoon today. We now have a blanket of clouds overhead. Little weak disturbance cruising through, and boy, I mean weak. This isn't going to bring much of anything to the region. There's a small risk for a little bit of wet weather later tonight. We'll show you the high-res modeling in just a second. Far from home here, big windstorm getting set to take shape over the next day or so. Out in the high plains states, high wind warnings for parts of Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, and Kansas as well. Where's the cold air? It's not here, that's for sure, at least compared to average, but it's bottled up in eastern Canada, eastern parts of Quebec. If you look carefully here, I know the numbers are small, but we've got some minus 20 degree readings showing up here. That's where some of the coldest weather on our side of the Arctic regions, the North Pole. That's where the coldest weather compared to average and even in absolute terms is this evening. You hop across the pole though and head over to Russia, and this is where the coldest air in the northern hemisphere is. This is out across Siberia, where minus 20 to minus 40 degree readings, pretty common. That's not all that unusual for Siberia in December. All right, high-res futurecast. Ignore the little green blob it has this evening. That is nonsense. As we go through the night tonight, again, I don't think much will happen other than maybe a few spots of drizzle late tonight, first thing tomorrow morning. Pretty non-impactful stuff. We're looking for a largely uneventful next 24 hours. I think we'll see a mixed bag of clouds and sunshine on Thursday. Temperatures a little warmer than today. We'll make it into the low 40s. Thankfully, our in-house model here has kind of shifted towards the ideas that we've been advertising for a couple of days now, that Friday would not be all that wet. So most of the showers stayed around and south of I-70, I think, during the day Friday. There's a somewhat higher risk of seeing a few showers Friday night, heading into parts of Saturday, but Saturday's not a washout. And again, a lot of this will try to be focused to our south as we kick off the weekend. We still have a pretty good model spread here, pretty significant spread. The GFS model, that's the red line, that's the operational GFS. This is the GFS Ensemble model, the blue line. It's kind of leading the pack here and has been that way all week. It's definitely been the wettest model for Friday and the weekend. The European has not a drop of rain through Saturday night. The truth is probably somewhere in between. I think it'll try to rain, but only a little bit Friday afternoon heading into Saturday. All right, long-range trends here. If you've been watching Weather for Weather Geeks lately, none of this will come as a big surprise. A generally mild pattern for the next 10 days. I do think the pattern changes some right around Christmas. The animation stops here on the 23rd. Upper level low moving through the Great Lakes advertised. And if you trace these lines instead of the Pacific, you can trace them back to northern Canada. So that's a cooler looking weather map right before Christmas. Now, there's some question as to the staying power of the colder weather. Is it a couple of days? Is it a stretch that will take us up to New Year's? Not sure about that yet. Although I am fairly confident that this will not be severe cold. This isn't going to be the kind of cold that we had around New Year's of this year. Remember, it was well below zero. New Year's morning, New Year's Day, right around New Year's, we had a hard time getting out of the single digits. It won't be anything like that. But a colder pattern compared to the previous 10 days, yeah, that seems pretty likely right around Christmas. And if we do get a white Christmas, it might have to be right at the last minute. Looks too warm to me for much, if any, snow through about the 22nd, 23rd. Maybe we'll get some snow showers around Christmas, maybe enough to whiten the ground. Stay tuned on that. Thanks for watching tonight's Weather for Weather Geeks. Have a great night. I'll see you back here tomorrow.